Hey everyone, welcome back to the official Wingfeather podcast. I'm your host, Chris Wall. Thanks for joining as we take a look behind the curtain at all the amazing artists who make this animated series come to life. I think it's a joy that I get to experience daily of working with these amazing artists in so many different skill sets, and I want to bring you along that journey and let you meet some of the people and see what they do as we work on this third season and into the fourth season and beyond of this amazing series. So glad to welcome my special guest today, Beau, and we'll have a conversation about kind of what inspired him to get into animation and what he's done for the series from the very beginning. So let's welcome Beau.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Greetings.
Honored. It's really surreal. I mean, it really is to kind of think back of the years of honestly seeing the Kickstarter way back in
2016. Yep.
And I was familiar with Andrew with his music. Didn't know anything about the books, but I was like, that looks really cool. And then I was also kind of in a point where I knew I was going to be changing jobs and stuff. So I was like, maybe there's a chance I can get on this show. Maybe I can get on this project. And so I'm sure we'll get into that, of course.
That's so crazy. So I remember when we first met, I was at Big Idea on VeggieTales. We were building out the in the house, the Netflix version of VeggieTales. Brian Roberts went over to that side, and I stayed on the movie side.
Right.
And they were like, "Hey, we need some people."
Yeah.
And so Don Colwell, y'all
man.
need to hire Beau Sherman. He's your guy.
Yep.
And well, what does he do? Everything,
He
And
sells me well.
he
I
does,
appreciate
and it was like, okay, we got to get this guy named Beau.
Yeah.
And you came, and that would have been what, 2013 or
I think it was, yeah. I think it was like, or maybe it was
late 12.
2014. I don't, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all kind of blending together. I'm trying to think like it was around that time. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was around the 2014 time,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's wild. But yeah, Don Caldwell, amazing guy. I literally would not be sitting here if it weren't for him. So thank you, Don. I tell him often, like, dude, thank you. You've done a
He's
lot.
good
He's
people,
a
man.
big heart, man. Big heart.
So he was the kind of one of the principals at Magnetic Dreams, who ended up being this integral part of our story in doing the short film for Wingfeather back in 2016, then 17, kind of bridged, helping produce that, which you were then at Magnetic,
Right.
and got to be part of it there.
Yeah, I mean, it literally worked out kind of amazing. Where it was like I said earlier, the Kickstarter thing. I was like, I'm gonna back this. One, just because I think it looks cool, and fan of Andrew's, and then you were of course a part of it and stuff, and we'd become friends. Just more or less in the kitchen meeting, the water cooler talk, kind of stuff like that. But wanted to support friends in that, and yeah, I mean, I just figured I know I'm gonna wind up back over there probably because my time at VeggieTales was going to be wrapping up.
Yeah.
So it just really amazing timing to a plan that I actually put together in my mind, like, maybe this can happen. And it did. So yeah, it really is surreal to kind of think about where it's come from the grit and building from the ground up. And here we are, like working at the factory, which has a lot of history with VeggieTales and stuff too.
I know. Only a couple 100 feet away.
Yeah.
It's building 2 over there. So weird. Yeah, and then we have to ask the question. So, what employee number are you?
Apparently, I am number one.
That's
like
right.
the hired number one. So everybody else is like, wait, we were here before, but I think I technically I got the contract.
That's right. We had people that were doing some contract work with us, but then you were the first full-time hire. I remember standing in my driveway. Hey, Beau, what are you doing? Why? Do you want to come work for us full-time? Why? Because we need you. Why? Because we need somebody who can do everything. Literally, Keith tells me, hey, I need somebody who can just start testing things and running things because we're going to build it in Unreal Engine and we haven't tested out these things and I need someone who knows CG and who knows us and can get in. What's Beau doing?
Yeah, no,
it's crazy.
Again, the timing thing was kind of an amazing thing because I had just had dinner with Daniel Haycox.
Yeah.
Who's been on the team pretty much since day one as well, and you'll be interviewing later, and we were talking over dinner, and I knew that he was already in talks with you or working with you and stuff like that, and I was like, man, I wonder if I can get on this show because I had just moved back to Tennessee. I had left Tennessee for about a year,
I forgot about that.
year and a half, and he was like, Yeah, well, and I think he got a phone call from you as we were leaving dinner. So I just kind of parted ways and whatnot. And then he texted me, "Hey, that was Chris," and I mentioned your name, and so you called me within like a day, I think.
Yeah.
And I believe this is right after you guys had already gotten the money for the
That's right.
original
We'd
funding.
done the crowd round, and it was like, okay, now we have this resource. How do we use it to go make?
Right.
And I felt this huge weight of responsibility. I had amazing investors that had invested millions of dollars to make an
Right.
animated series, and we got to build it.
Yep.
And it's just how do we make sure we get to the end, right? Where
Hmm.
there at the end of that expenditure, we have a show,
Yep.
right? And it was a wild time, and then it was okay. So report to work in the bonus room of our home.
Right. I loved it. I,
Which
I
was
I loved
crazy.
it, man. I thought it was always super cool because I'd watched things of people who have like created something from nothing, right,
Sure.
ground up, all the grit that goes along with that. I was like, man, that'd be really cool to see that. I would just watch the documentary earlier, I think, like in 2020 of the Ren and Stimpy story,
Sure.
and how these wild bunch of people put that show together, and I was just like, man, it's so cool to like just a small group was able to
Hmm.
produce something so big, and of course the team grew as the show grew.
We had that photo for a while of the different garage startups from
Mhm.
Apple to Amazon and Microsoft, the California garages that they each began out of, and ours was just a bonus room, but the same idea.
Right.
Although half our garage was an office too.
That's right.
So
That's right. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, and props to your family for rolling with the punches. But
that's
I
right.
mean, I loved it being able to come in. Hey, Mrs. Wall. Yeah. Like literally the kids are having breakfast before getting started on their schooling and stuff like that. Hey, what's for breakfast? Okay, cool. Yep.
Yeah,
Try to stay out of the way, be respectful and give privacy and stuff like that. But
let the cats come curl up on your lap.
oh man, yeah. In the wintertime, they definitely kept you warm. Rest in peace, Beethoven. We love you, buddy. But no, I mean, I really loved it. Like, and again, just that I'm still here is like, oh, this is
I know that we're all still making the show. It's a
right.
shock. So that was 21.
Hmm.
Obviously got underway. Um, your job title then was, like I said, kind of like, hey, just need to do CG stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of quickly matured and got into a certain space. But tell us what you're currently doing on Wing for the Saga.
Right. Yeah. So currently, I'm working with the animation department, the coordinator.
Hmm.
So I get to work with just an amazing group of animators,
Truly.
mostly based in Europe. Um, and we have a few that are here stateside, and even one of our people in house, who's a coordinator of another department, was just like, "Hey, I've actually got a little bit of time that I can squeeze in. I really want to grow as an animator." And we're just like, "Okay, here's a 2-second shot. See what you can do for it."
Have you continued animating at all yourself?
It gets less and less with each season. I've
Okay.
done one shot. I've done about 2 seconds of animation on season 3. Woo, I get one
There
little
you go.
credit.
Okay. Okay.
We're hoping that we can kind of like get it to where I can get back in the animator seat, but it's a busy job. It is a
And
very
so
busy job.
coordinating is basically saying organizing the workloads so
Right.
that okay, you go work on scene 7
Right.
and you work on scene 8, whatever, and
Hmm.
then when you're done with 7, here's scene
Right.
12, right, whatever, and making sure they're always have inventory when they have troubles. I suppose
Yep.
you're able to help solve some of that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a coordinator is kind of like I just describe it when people ask me like, "What do you do?" I'll just say I'm middle management in this sense, because if I say coordinator, sometimes they instantly put me like I'm a lead or supervisor. Like, oh, you get to. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not that. Maybe one day,
Yeah.
but it's more of like I'm just keeping people fed with their assignments, and if there's issues, and I'm supposed to be communicating with all the departments and all that kind of stuff. So just everybody knows of what's going on. And if there are problems, I need to run that up the chain. And of
Yeah.
course, keep you and Andrew uh, updated with animation to review, things like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Notes, it's just a lot of very important things to keep the machine going
Hmm.
and well lubricated, I guess. You want
Yeah, and it's interesting because in animation, which some of you may not know this, but animation has a bit of a bell curve of it's not terribly expensive at the beginning, and then it gets really expensive in the middle of the
Mhm.
production because the animation staff and just the craft of animation is the most costly part of the thing. And so you want to keep that pretty efficient, right? Where you don't want people sitting on their hands and not doing because they're out of inventory.
Right.
You also don't want to burn them out by overloading them.
Right.
It's this delicate balance of we are a fast moving TV series, but you want to treat people humanely,
Right.
right? Make
Right.
sure that they're getting what they need, and even though we're remote,
Hmm.
supporting them. And I think it's one of the areas that you
Absolutely.
do very well
Thank you.
is a listening ear and kind of a good bedside manner,
Thank you.
to help support these people as they make this amazing art.
Yeah. Keith, our supervisor, he said, he's like, I like you being in that position because one, you are an animator, so you know what it's like
Hmm.
to get bogged down and really loaded up and stuff. So I try to have as much empathy as possible for people, and try to read between lines. Checking in with the artist on a personal level, like, hey, you have your casual work talk and stuff like that, but it's more like, how are things going? How was your weekend? Just try to find out what's going on in their lives. And we found that sometimes you realize, catch on that maybe there's some personal stuff, and it's kind of like, all right, not trying to get in their business and share their stuff, but just letting people up the chain know the reason that their quota isn't quite as high is because some stuff's going on. And again,
Sure.
I don't overshare people's personal lives. I want to respect that,
Hmm. Hmm.
but just letting them know, like, hey, we care about you. Like, not only just because you work for us and you're sharing your talents with us, but we want to make sure that as much as we can take care of you as a personal person. I just feel like that's,
Hmm.
as a Christian too, I just want to like use that gift and blessing in any sort of way of letting people know, like, hey, this is beyond the paycheck or beyond the contract. Like, if there's something we can do for you, please let us know.
Hmm. Hmm. And simultaneously having a hand at their back and say, gonna need you to go a little faster,
Yeah, yep,
right?
and
Yeah,
it
like
has to happen.
which that happens. You
It
hate the
does.
bad guy side of it, where you're
Yep.
like, hey, we're not quite hitting the mark here,
Yeah.
whether that's artistically or like. And there is the great loving question of anything going on that we can help you with.
Right.
Also, we need to get moving, right? And
Right.
that
Exactly.
is part of it for both. So yeah, that's great. So as we sit here today, what's happening today? I think you're probably in episode 6, right?
We
Of
are. Yep.
season
We
3.
are in the final episode of season 3.
Yep.
We, yeah. I mean, the team just got really fired up because we watched we had a company watch of the 4th episode of
Yeah.
season
Oh
3.
my gosh.
And yeah, and everybody was just like, yeah. And what's wonderful about this season is that because we found ways, we're working exclusively in Unreal now.
Hmm.
It's helped speed up the assembly team to be able to get in there and work while maybe an animation is still going on for that episode. So the animators, we're used to watching when we have these all company meetings or watch parties. It's more of like, here's the play blast, everything's still gray, or maybe there's a
Sure.
little bit of
Sure.
texture and stuff like that. But here it's like we're getting like almost the final mix, or it is the final mix. This is pretty much going, or it has gone out the door, and it's what the audience is going to see. So they're getting to hear the music, the
Yep.
sound
Yep.
effects,
Yep.
all the beautiful work that's being done by everybody past animation. But the animators too themselves get to finally see their stuff high resolution.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
yeah, just it. Everybody was super pumped after the meeting and stuff. So I was like, and so this is where it comes. It's like, I don't mean to be the annoying coordinator, but let that fire help get you through the final episode, because I mean, it's a marathon.
Mhm.
This is an ultra marathon.
Yeah,
Because we're immediately going into season 4 as well. So
yeah.
everybody's got to like deep breath, dig deep. But again, we want to be courteous.
Don't wanna pull a hammy, on the
Right?
finish line
Exactly.
here,
Exactly.
gotta be sure to stretch.
Yep.
Which, in to your point, I think the animation industry at large, and some of you may have heard of this, at home, but there's a lot of abuse in our industry. It's interesting. So, the Animation Guild is the oldest of the guilds because Walt Disney was so abusive. It's
Mm.
true. Labor practices back then were terrible, and people were like their wrists were falling off and like really bad stuff.
Right.
And they unionized to defend themselves against Walt and others, but from driving him in the ground. And and it's just part of our industry. Is unfortunately between interactive and games and animation. Spider Verse teams, of
Right.
course, for 2. Oof, bad stuff.
Yep.
Um, so we want to do it well, right? And make a great product that everybody loves, but do it in a way that we have family lives and
Right.
can and be healthy, right?
Absolutely.
So you're definitely a big part of that. Where would you say that you first had an inkling you wanted to work in animation? Where was the thing that kind of sparked your interest?
I would say it's probably the initial thing would have gone back to like watching old Warner Brother cartoons and things like Looney Tunes, all that kind of stuff. Like, I've always been a fan of that slapstick kind of comedy, really exaggerated, really stretchy comedy, things like that. As I got older, I grew up playing video games a bit. And so Doug TenNapel's Earthworm Jim,
Oh
in the
yeah.
mid 90s, of course, was like the best of both worlds, like the cartoon, the video game, all in one. It was just so zany and weird and like whatever. But that was definitely one of the big things that made me be like, okay, maybe this is something I want to do. And I, this is before the internet and stuff like that, so I didn't really understand like how do you get into this? How do you get in this industry? And I've heard that from a lot of animators. They just think like, oh well, somebody out there in the world is doing this, but there's no way I can get into it, or it's just not a real profession or something. Like it's just niche little group of people. But lo and behold, there are schools that will train you, and now there's so many like online reference or resources and stuff like that. But yeah, my earliest things would definitely like the Looney Tunes cartoons. I would say.
Love Looney Tunes, huge fan.
Yeah.
Definitely influential in my journey. In just the heart and really funny. Like it just had this amazing thing, and then the music it's timeless.
Right. Do you have the big DVD collection?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you got them.
Yeah, I don't have all of them. I have a number of them. So
Gotcha.
I realize now that those are of higher value than I thought they would be.
Yeah, I know. You go on Amazon now or eBay. It's like,
Did you have a chance to learn from Keith at all? Of course, he did a bunch of animation tutorials. Was that in your timeline?
super funny, but it was after I gotten out of school.
Okay.
I had my first job, and people were like, "Hey, Keith Lango is selling all of his tutorials for like 50% off." It was like around Christmas time, and sorry, Keith, I didn't know who you were at the time, but I was like, I looking into it, and being that my coworkers were all just so like, "Oh man, this is amazing." I was like, "Hey, why not? I've got a little money. Like, go ahead and get them." So that's how I learned of Keith's stuff. So yeah, I watched him, and when I first met Keith on working on the pilot, I was like, "Hey man, like I bought your tutorials. I really appreciate." He's like, "Oh," and Keith, we love you, man. He's so self-deprecating, but he's like, "Oh, I should give you your money back." And I was like, "No, man, like, come on, dude." But no, I mean, and I still bump into people that I'll mention, like, "Yeah, Keith Lango is our CG supervisor," and they're like, "No way, really?"
Yeah.
So it's just really, again, you get used to rubbing elbows, people sitting with people, stuff like that, and you kind of forget like I'm kind of in the presence of some titans,
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
and it's kind of what I'm telling our team is young, I'll just be like, yeah, really, I know it can get frustrating. You're under deadlines, but truly listen to the people around you because I think they know what they're talking about. And I think for this team, it's really great because I don't know of anybody, especially here in the office, that really has any sort of ego. That when somebody starts doing it, you see like an eye roll, or because I've worked with some people that they knew better and they went off to their own thing, and it caused kind of a toxic environment.
Yeah, it doesn't
Or just friction in the production. But I think everybody's here is willing to, maybe because they are younger or they're green, but they've got they're super smart for themselves, they're self-driven, but they are still very humble, and they're like, okay, yeah, let me hear what you have to say, and let me learn from you. So it's a great thing.
I have a hard time because you and I are both long in the tooth, having been in the industry for a little while. I have a hard time imagining what they're experiencing, like fresh out of college or whatever, walking in and this being their first gig. Like it's such a like, what?
You don't know how
in Nashville, Tennessee.
I know. You didn't have to move. Well, I guess some people did move, but
yeah.
I mean, and again, I'm like the old guy on the production team, but I'm just kind of like, guys, I don't want to sound like this, but it's just like, look, I hope you realize how amazing it is. You don't realize how amazing it is that you have this as your first job, because you paid your dues and stuff. I've worked on a lot of projects that grateful for them because of the learning experience and stuff like that, but it was for a paycheck.
Yeah, right.
For this, it's just like, this is and I don't want to sound over biased or over brown nosy or whatever, but I mean, this really is kind of it is a trailblazing project.
Yeah, we're definitely hacking through the weeds here, finding our way through the woods. It feels like it.
Right.
So you 4 years now, you've been working on the show, making stuff. Is there a highlight among the 4 years of something that was like, oh man, there's this moment that was really special?
There's just so much, but it honestly is like, even from the start, just getting called back and brought back in and getting to work on something from the ground up. Because it was sort of a dream of like, man, it would be really cool. Literally like praying like, man, God, it'd be really cool to, be a part of something. And then within the year, getting that call and getting to come back on the show. But again, it's just really working with the people that I work with, whether it's here in-house or building relationships with people over Zoom calls or huddles or, over Slack or something like that. I don't have a distinct moment, but it's just kind of like trying to take it all in and realize that it is something special, and it is, potentially temporary, because the series ends.
Has an end.
Yeah. God willing, we'll be able to pick something else up and keep the company going, and people can stick around and all that kind of stuff. But being that I've experienced working on some projects for a longer period, and then realize like, oh yeah, it does kind of end. I think I'm just trying to like enjoy the ride as much as possible. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I feel the same way. Like I want to soak this moment in. I felt the same at VeggieTales though. That was a
Hmm.
really special season, and um, yeah, we're getting to do something. And I think because of the level of fan interaction we have too, that's really unique.
Right.
A lot of times when projects are made, they're kind of made quietly,
Hmm.
and we don't talk about them
Yep.
until they're out, right? And in our case, we get to share with fans who know we're making, know that we're working on it, and sharing that journey, like we're doing here with this podcast. That's pretty special.
I think so. I mean, and that's something that I really think is cool that when the animators came on in season one, that they were like afraid to overshare or
Sure.
and obviously we have NDAs and we don't want artwork going out or certain things going
Hmm.
out ahead of time. But I love that you and Andrew would do the live streams or you would do them by yourself or whatever, and you were showing stuff, and I was like, you're already going to show that? But it was like, hey man, why not? Let's build the hype up, and rather than make it this overly locked down sort of thing, it's like,
Sure.
hey, it's publicity, and it's all good. So
Yeah, and as a small independent studio, you just
right,
you take all those chances
right,
because the more you can help connect with an audience out there, the better.
yeah,
For
yep,
sure. Season 3,
hmm,
you're just about done with animation, and then we'll move to season 4. Um, is there a moment in season 3? So if we had one of our fans walk in here, and like probably Cooper's who we're imagining, but
right, yeah,
walk
yeah,
in and
absolutely,
go, tell us about what's happening.
yeah.
What would you say is like, oh man, you're gonna love this moment in season 3?
Buckle up, yeah. I mean, it's literally what we watched today. I would say is 3 or 4. I mean, every episode is solid, but man, that episode 4, because without spoiling, it's the it's the thing that's really showing that we're an epic, right? If that's the right word, but I mean, like the scale. What I mean by the scale,
Yeah.
like there's what happens in that episode, the amount of character animation you see on the screen,
Hmm.
and along with our awesome new sound design or our awesome sound design and awesome new score maker
Hmm. Composer.
composer. Thank you, awesome new composer. Um, that it's just man, it's so good. Again, the whole season's great, but I mean, this is the one that's really just going to show like a great twist and stuff like that. So I don't want to spoil anything,
Yeah, I
but
feel like we loaded the box, man,
yeah,
because every episode has something really like whoa in
right,
it that's quite spectacular.
absolutely,
Visually, yeah, I mean every single one has something. But you're right, episode 4 is pretty special.
yeah. And the pacing too. I've heard a lot of people, the animators, like, man, the pacing on this is so good, and it was brought up, this morning as well when after reviewing. And just something back to season one. I mean, season one's great, but it's the first season of any show is it's hard because you have to establish so much
Yeah.
and get all this detail in and stuff. So it starts a little slow. So I always just tell people, it's like, look, get to episode 3 of season one, and I really hope that people, um, I hope the buzz just continues to grow, and we obviously bring in more people and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, these seasons start way fast, so there's not a lot of build up. It's just action. So love it.
Is there a part of the animation industry at large? We're talking about a lot of different pieces and parts here, but
Mhm.
is there a part that you feel like, man, this doesn't give enough attention, and it is a critical part of making a show like this?
Well, I don't want to be biased here either, but I mean, my initial thought is honestly the production side. So I came in as an artist when I worked for VeggieTales. That was my first time sitting in out of the artist seat and more in like going to the meetings and handling spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. And when I first got into the industry, I was kind of jealous of the production people because I felt like, oh man, they just go to meetings and take some notes, and they're probably just browsing the internet and stuff like that. They're just killing time. No, they are working long hours, and there's so much detail that they have to keep
Mhm.
track of. And again,
Mhm.
they're the communicators. They are the backbone of the production, literally. You know, and they're the ones that have to keep everything going and making sure that like what's going on and the other departments and stuff like that. So just mad respect to to anybody who works the production side because it's not easy. I mean, there's just so many moving parts and so many spinning plates that you have to like keep tabs on. And I'm always trying to figure out like how can I make this easier for myself because my mind just starts going well, and it's like okay, my brain's getting a little too fuzzy. How can I simplify this so it's not stressing me out of all the different things that I have to do and stuff like that? But that's the one. And man, I have to get, dude, you're a machine. Like show running. I know Andrew has said thank you, and I am so sorry multiple times to you and things because I don't see how you sleep, man. Like you just have so much energy and you're able to handle that. So,
It's a crazy
again,
seat. Yeah.
it's
And it's funny because the pressure I feel is I'm always feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hold you guys up,
yeah.
right? That how can I make sure that I'm serving you well so that
Mhm.
they can all just keep doing amazing art, right?
Mhm.
And that I'm doing my job to point you the right way. I feel really bad when it's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, we need to make a left over here.
Right.
I know we made a right, but
Mhm.
that's I'm usually, dear Bo,
Yeah.
we need to change this because this is a thing,
Yeah. It's like,
and yeah,
okay.
we just had a change. I'm actually, I still got to go fix it, but we had a huge gaff. Okay, for those that have read the books or watched the series, we reference the books a lot, but we are adapting from, and so there's things in the series that happen differently, right? And
Mhm.
so in season one, there was a number of things that we shifted just timeline wise to kind of build out that world a
Right.
little better.
Yep.
One of those being that Sarah Cobbler, of course, interacted with Pete the Sockman,
Mhm.
Artham, right? In episode 3, in fact.
Right.
They play some Zibsy, and there he is, and there, that. Fast forward, episode 2, season 4, Janner and Artham. Artham's going to go help with the fork factory, whatever, and
Mhm.
Janner says, there's a girl named Sarah Cobbler. See if you can help her, right? He knows Sarah
Well,
in
he's
our
kind of out of his
version,
mind, He's kind of
right?
out of his mind,
Yeah, but
So
like, I was like, oh, dang it.
yeah. Yeah.
Forgot that because we were really thinking about the book, we were working on the screenwriting and that. Those kind of gaffes, I usually the kind of things I had to come back to you with, like, hey, I got to change this line because we forgot about this thing that happened that changed this thing. And,
Yeah.
or this emotional intonation. We had one change late, if you remember this one, with Anwa, who's this incredible leader of Chimera, in which she's upset at Gammon over something,
Mhm.
and she does this thing, and he challenges her, and in the performance, Anwa casts her eyes down,
Mhm.
right? She reacts to him and then looks at the floor, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm sorry, she's awesome. She would never look down. She would hold his gaze. Like
Mhm.
that's the kind of person she is, right? And I'm always looking for those kind of tweaks. And so, dear Bo,
Yeah.
need to revise this bit of animation, right? Like, but it's those kind of little nudges to kind of get the final performance.
Mhm.
For me, to get this consistency of them across, from this amazing team of about 15 animators, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're
Um, and all the other artists working to kind of have a consistency for the audience at home that like everything's holding the same, right? We had a scene recently, I don't know if that this doesn't have an opt-in, but we record our actors separately.
Mhm.
And we had a scene recently in season 4 in which it just went wrong, and it's
Oh.
my fault. The actors were kind of just talking across each other. Like emotionally they weren't in the same pocket,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the scene was a disaster. Like it was like, I'm talking up here and I'm over here talking like this. And
Mhm.
like it wasn't right. And it was totally my fault because I recorded each of those actors at different
Mhm.
times, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just got it wrong. And so that's okay, we're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Patch some other audio, some different takes, and go find things, and make it so that we've set it up for your team to go do great work.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't see how you balance it all, but it's it's cool to see. And I mean, I think you've been complimented actually for your like directing in the booth kind of
Yeah.
thing
I
and
work
stuff
pretty
like
hard in
and
the booth.
yeah. So I mean, and I'm going to interview you. Do you attribute that to like, in college you studied or
Theater. Yeah.
theater and stuff like that?
No,
So
absolutely. Training as an actor,
yeah,
and really studying that craft hard. I can speak that language, right?
right.
And it's really interesting because getting in the booth with guys like David Oyelowo, who intimidates the fool out of me, Royal Academy of Shakespeare, like he is like amazing.
Hmm.
And to challenge him, hey, actually go this way. What if we change like this, right?
Hmm.
There's this early moment in a record session where there's a trust of like,
Right.
are we finding something true and good together? Or do you know what you're doing? Because a lot of voice direction ends up coming from people who are just read line 304 3 times. Okay, good. Next
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
It's very just kind of cold.
Hmm.
And that's not how I like to record. I want to work on it and let's
Hmm.
find it together. I'm going to read the character voices against you in full character with the volume. So I'm going to pitch to you as we play ball together the speed I want, right? And that takes a lot of labor. I would say in season 2, about half the sessions I stepped out of. We were so busy trying to get season 3 figured out and that I stepped away, and I felt like the voice performances suffered a bit because I didn't have that kind of drive to get them where I wanted that. And so as we've gone forward now, season 3 and 4, I'm in every session.
Yeah.
Which is, that's usually 3 to 4 hours per actor, do an episode or 2, and you multiply that times our cast, it's a lot of commitment.
That's a lot of time.
And but I love the work. That I love, because for me it's the foundation of what we build. If I can get the best core performances down there, everybody can build up enough, right? If those are at all faulty, if they're untrue, if they're not like I believe that, then everything else feels false. Right? I can't drive a great animation performance off of a voice that's like not right. So I take it pretty seriously, and obviously, I do all the scratch performances to start us all off, and I take that very seriously, and work to find like what's the right emotional tone here that feels like, okay, I believe that. And that's unique for us. There's a lot of people who wouldn't go there because it's a cartoon. There's this thing of like, right,
Yeah, it's like, but again, I think because of the extra that you're putting into it, that's why the animators are really jumping on. I mean, they're just so passionate to begin with, but the fact that they can believe what's going on through the actor's voice, that they can envision what needs to be done, and they're plussing their animation. Because our quote is high.
It is.
The amount of work that the animators had to do. And I told them after our review this morning, it was just like, guys, like, y'all's passion definitely shows through your talent. I mean, you're uberly talented, but the passion is there because our show, we didn't expect it to look like this, for the budget and the time frame and blah, 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 blah. And yet, when I remember the first week in season 1 when shots started coming in for review and Ron started looking at stuff, and I'm looking at that like, okay, that's amazing looking.
Right.
Can they keep up with that? Because that was the whole thing, is you could burn out seriously. And, people take their vacations for sure. But they stay excited, and they have a healthy competitiveness with one another, even though we're all remote. Some of them have worked together in the past. They knew each other prior and stuff like that. But there's just that healthy competitiveness of they want to, I don't know, one up one another or grow from one another. I guess not really one up, but they just like, hey, I just saw what so-and-so did. That's awesome. And I've seen animators adapt. Keith has animated 3 shots on the show, and they were awesome. But I noticed that he did this thing where the overseer in season 2, like before he gut punches Janner, kind of acts like he's pulling some dust off his jacket or something off his sleeve. And I noticed a couple of animators as characters were walking, or it might have been the overseer in another shot, just kind of, at glance did something that I was like, well, I know where you got that. But it's cool. I mean,
man, that stuff is huge. And I can't stress this enough for those watching at home. But this, in animation, often, some of our competitors at this level at TV will get the hands of ambiguity, right? Where the actor is animating and they're doing this a lot, right? They're waving their arms and they don't really understand what they're doing, right? Where they're going with the scene. And instead, in our show, we get these bits of business that are like, that's exactly what Nia would do. I remember in season 2, they're sitting and Oscar's telling the story about the kids, and Nia has a little mug and she's listening to him. It's just a cutaway shot of her listening to him. All she has to do, it's the easiest shot to animate because you just stare, right? Maybe keep them alive a little bit. Instead, the animator's like, like adding a bit of business that was not called for, not needed, and it made the scene alive, and you believe those characters. And the reason that matters is because it adds up to a belief in the commitment of the story to its peril, that there's consequences for character choices, right? And other choices will make it, I don't believe anything bad could happen. I don't feel the weight of it. And so the emotional weight isn't there. So those little choices add emotional weight that when you add it up across the run of the series, it's quite impactful,
Absolutely.
in a beautiful way. Like we were watching episode 3, season 3, and there's some powerful emotional moments in there that are subtlety of performance that you just get wrecked by, and it's beautiful. Yeah, and it comes from, the foundation of great material out of the novels.
That's right.
Adapting into great voice performances. Visual design that really is inspiring, and then animation performances that then feed into the final assemblies and of course the score, and we get to have these final experiences that we all go, wow, that
how do we do
once
that?
We've all added our stuff together, well done everybody.
Absolutely. and props also, of course, to Ron Smith, who's our anim director.
Yeah, anim director. Yeah.
And I mean, coming from a feature film background, I think he's just done a really great job. And he had to learn and adapt and stuff too of coming from feature. How do you do it for TV and be able to give quality notes, but not over note and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's really found the groove for sure.
So to be clear for everybody at home, so in feature animation, so it's 2 to 3 seconds of animation a week would be kind of a normal pace, and then that's going to get redone 5-6 times. It's a whole thing. In ours, we're 17, 18 seconds a week.
Yeah, we're close to the 20-second a week.
Yeah, we try to hit to 20 if that's its peak. Only a couple people can actually do it, Sam. But yeah, so that's the difference of what that looks like. So you have to make your choices. And I think what we hope to do is give them what are clear choices so they can just know to go forward and not have to sit around and go, I'm not sure what to do with this, right? Yeah. Give an opinion. I mentioned that a lot in my animation launches is these characters have opinions and I want to see what opinion they have in the scenes, which gets hard when you have a character scene with like 5-6 characters. Yeah. Okay, what's that person thinking? What's this person thinking? What's that person thinking? And how do you express that? Otherwise, you just get kind of a bunch of blank faces,
Yeah, and fitting it into the scheduling of like, because I mean, we're in a place with 20 characters on screen, 30 a couple times, for a battle or Fork Factory or something like that, and it's kind of like, we need to find ways of being able to recycle animation, but without making it look recycled, right? Yep. So it's clear like, they're on the same exact time and they're moving their head at the exact same sort of thing, but still keeping the characters alive and having, as you said, opinions like we want them to come off as live actors, kind of thing.
Characters you believe in, definitely. Right. Yeah. Well, Bo, it's been great talking with you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for your excellent work keeping the trains in a row for these animators and keeping them well fed and making a great show. It's really remarkable. 4 years into this, man.
That's kind of crazy to hear that it's been 4 years already. I'm like, oh man, slow down. But it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to keep it going.
That's right. Hey, thanks all for joining today, and we will be back with another episode soon, featuring another one of our spectacular artists. All right, thanks. Well, thanks for joining me today and my special guest. To watch the series, of course, check out wingfeathersaga.com and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, at Wingfeather Saga. Make sure to check out the program wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. This has been a Shining Isle production produced by Jaron Weatherly, edited by Davis Coggan, executive produced by myself, Brock Starnes, and Andrew Peterson.